it doesn't come from a place of like hating the people that like are hood. I love them. I love y'all, bro. Keep doing what you're doing. Fuck everybody else. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's bad for them too that like this is their idea of them, because people are scared. People still, you know, scared of the hood. And the main thing I always say is like, the main thing about the hood is that it's a neighborhood. People live there. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fade to Black podcast. It is your boy, David Dunnington, Dunnington. I'm back here today with a wonderful artist. You heard him last year talk about symbiopsychotaxiplasm, which personally I think was a great conversation. James Izlar. What's good, James?
Hey, how you doing?
You know, I wish you didn't ask me that. No, I'm just kidding. How are you doing? You got stuff going on? Like, you still out here making shit? First of all, sorry. Let me backtrack. Remind everybody what you do.
Sure. I do so many things, I guess. I'm a photographer, kind of documentary filmmaker. I guess a visual artist, if you will.
And where can people find your stuff again?
On Instagram, JCIZLAR, my website, jamesizlar.com, YouTube, all those places. Word.
Sounds good. Well, see, James, I got you up nice and early this morning because I want us to have a bit of an attitude about this. We're talking about this film, American Fiction, directed by Cord Jefferson, written by Cord Jefferson also, I believe. Yes. It's based off the novel Eraser.
They want a black look.
They have a black book. I'm black, and it's my book.
Yeah, it's because we're up against Centaura.
Who?
Centaura Golden. You haven't read her?
No, what's her book called?
Weasley's Indigetto is a heartbreaking and visceral debut. Plus, a little birdie told me that perhaps there's a TV adaptation in the works.
Because it's not subtle.
I mean, how's that book so different than some of the other garbage they put out?
That's not the point.
Well, it's my point. Look at what they publish. Look at what they expect us to write.
I'll just start it off here by saying your boy was when I saw this trailer and I saw everybody hyping it up, I had a hard eyebrow raise.
Oh, yes. Very much same.
And if it's one of those, if you know, you know. It's not really if you know, you know. It's pretty, if you're into black film, you know. And these films, I will say, they do different things. But I was very almost upset because I'm like, wow, this looks like a watered down Bamboozled, and it's getting all the recognition that I thought Bamboozled should have gotten. But Bamboozled was turned away and shunned from the industry for a long time, including Spike. And it just like annoyed the shit out of me that, like, you know, the Family Matters version of Bamboozled was like, you know, it's like some Driving Miss Daisy shit, right? And I'm wondering what was your like kind of, were you in a similar boat with me thinking about how this film was about to turn out?
Yeah, I was skeptical. I guess I trusted Jeffrey Wright to like to take up a role that wasn't just like some clown type of thing. But yeah, very much so. Was very skeptical, and I had no idea about the book either. So it was all very new to me. And this was also after seeing the trailer for that like Magical Negroes movie, whatever that is.
No.
So I had a sour taste in my mouth. I'm like, this is about to be a rough start of the year. Yeah, ooh boy. But thankfully it was nothing like what I expected.
Yeah, I agree. I actually really enjoyed the film, and it is purposely feel good, and usually that is like, you know, sometimes I wonder how this is going to sound aggressive, but how dangerous that can be, sugarcoating everything. But it wasn't that. It wasn't that at all. So I usually let the guests kind of go into this, and like if I feel like they don't do a good enough job explaining, I also explain. But go ahead and, in your own words, if you were talking to me at a bar explaining this movie, what is American Fiction?
Sure. So American Fiction, I'd say, at least going off of the movie, it's follows the story of this black man who grew up sort of atypical to what the, I suppose, stereotypical average black experience is. Like, he grew up with wealth. He grew up with in his eyes, a well put together family. And he's an author. He wants to write, but he wants to write stories that have black characters but aren't quote unquote black, even though that's all that he sees is gets the main attention. So, and in a way to combat that, he decides to write his own parody version of the quote unquote black story, which is filled with all of the gangster tropes, all of the, hyper masculine type of things, and calls it My Pathology with an F. And to his surprise, it sells. And now the rest of this movie is him trying to both make it as unsellable as possible while also trying to come to grips with the fact that this is the type of work that's selling when his own retelling of Greek mythology, but in a quote unquote black lens, isn't really selling. As well as a bunch of other things, but that's, I guess, the main focus of the movie.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think you got nailed on the head there. Yeah, and if you're a Bamboozle stan like me, your alarms are flaring in your head by hearing that, because it's the exact same premise of Bamboozled. However, I was very surprised by. Bamboozle is more about like how we make fun of, like, everybody just kind of comes together and makes fun of black people on a global scale. And like, in a sense, they're almost doing this, but they think they're doing the right thing. Like, all the white people think they're doing the right thing. And it has this conversation of like, who should be telling these stories? Like, Issa Rae is a character who's, has lived just as bougie as a life as Jeffrey Wright's character. And she feels like she has the right, because she's interviewed some of these people, to just have this precious sounding novel that, is not good and is just meant to like appease white people's guilt. And it reinforces their ideas of black people. First off, so I'll say this. What is different about this movie versus Bamboozled? Well, I'll say the actual book and the actual art itself is not really focused on a lot. It's really focused on this guy and his family. And I really appreciated that. It really got into like the family dynamic and how like he's doing this as a necessity. He needs money. He needs, like, his mom is going through Alzheimer's. His sister died. His dad killed himself. A lot of the family wealth is just like drying out, and he has to literally put on this blackface author voice to, not even blackface, this is almost like minstrel-esque, modern minstrel-esque character to survive as a black artist, which, like, this isn't a, I don't know how to say this without like trying to make someone look bad. I feel like at times when I was in film school, I went to art school, but I had a film program. There were times where like I felt there was a bit of emphasis on like, well, what do you want to say about blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, I just want to show stuff, and I just want to have black people in it. Like, and like, black bodies are always politicized. It's not fair, but it is what it is. Every minority group, their body will be politicized. And then if you're like even more intersection with that stuff, obviously it just gets worse and worse. And I'm sorry if I'm rambling here, but
no, I mean, Yeah, absolutely. Look, we went to the same school. I know exactly what you're talking about. And
Yeah,
there's this really, I wish I could remember the name of the article and who wrote it, but there's this article I read a little bit before seeing the film that also talks about how black artists, especially black artists who haven't necessarily, or it talks about who, I think the article was called "Who Gets to Tell Our Stories," and it was detailing all of these different black artists, like going from Donald Glover to Dave Chappelle to all these other people who want to make, art, black art, but the things that get the most attention are the things that are about, I guess, the struggle, even if they haven't necessarily been a part of that struggle per se. Like
Right.
Dave Chappelle grew up in the white suburbs of
yeah,
like right outside of the areas that he's talking about, and he said that himself. And yet the things that made him the most attention, at least in the eyes of his white counterparts, are the crack jokes and the hood black president and all this other stuff. So I feel like this film touches on that to such a, I feel like the film itself is kind of a meditation on that, for better or for worse. Especially with, have you seen the comments that the director made like recently about I guess the state of black art and black filmmaking?
no, I have not. Put me on.
Well, they weren't great per se, but it was essentially the type of thing you hear a lot with I guess you could say more uppity black artists, where it's it's kind of the conversation that Monk even has in the film itself, where there's a cry for more black art that isn't just about it's not just Tales from the Hood or all these other films, but what he failed to mention is that there are other films out there that are just black people living their lives. They're just not getting the funding. Or the fact that there's these movies already kind of exist but nobody's watching them. Like there's a lot of experimental black media out there, just people aren't giving the attention.
100%. And I think, I feel like not all of us, but we are also guilty of that shit. Like,
Absolutely.
We like eating that shit up. It's like, it comes off like cowboy stuff. Feels like we're watching a Western sometimes when we watch hood movies, and that shit is bad. It's bad for the culture, I think. And like, obviously we've had better representations of that sort of stuff, like Moonlight, which we haven't talked about on this podcast yet, because I feel like we want to have a couple seasons before we go into fucking Moonlight. But yeah, I do feel this, I'm a black artist. My financial background is like, we were definitely not rich. We were definitely probably like middle class on the lower end. But my parents still made sure I could, they worked their, I'm not going to say like they did something special. Like they did whatever they could to make sure I was as spoiled as I could be. And that kept me out of trouble. And that, I had cousins that were in bad shit. I had friends that were in bad shit. I had friends that were in high school that I didn't link up with for a while, and then I find out they're dead or something. You know what I mean? So I do have some adjacentness to that, but y'all hear how I'm talking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I sound white. It is what it is. And should I be the person, like, telling the story about fucking, North Philly? No, absolutely not. And I should be, but the thing is, I was listening to these guys, I was listening to FD Signifier and Anthony Fantano, funny enough, and they were talking about, like, they were having a conversation about, like, they were having a conversation about white rappers.
Sure, yeah.
But then they were talking about, like, black rappers that you would consider white, like Hopsin or Logic or maybe even Childish Gambino to an extent. And they made a point that, like, being this black guy who's, like, afraid of acting white and all these things, that is a black experience.
For sure.
It's a specific one, but it's just showing that, like, the black experience is so different because humans are different. And, like, getting into the film, like, I'm sorry, I don't think I've ever seen a mainstream black film where like the black family lives in just like a beach town. Like I know, again,
Yeah.
Moonlight takes place on the beach, but that's not the same. That is not the same at all. You know what I mean? Like that felt like I was like, I mean, I guess they're in the Hamptons, I guess. But it felt like you know, I felt like I was in like New Jersey or something.
For sure.
You know, it reminded me of that, and black people don't be living there, so I don't know. That was interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know. Sorry.
I don't think we saw any white people at that beach community. Like even the
We did. There was one that he was like, "Do you guys have a permit to do those
Yes,
ash
that's right. That's
dumping?"
right.
And they're like, "Fuck you, Phil."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been rambling a lot because I just like, I don't know. It's just one of those films where like, I feel like here's the thing with this podcast. So there's like, I want to talk about this film, and then I want to talk about what this film means, because I'm not here to explain the film to people. It's more like I'm here to like, you just watch the film and like, how do we feel? What are our like immediate feelings? You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm saying this as to like the audience and to the editor. Like we're rambling a lot, but like, this is just like, this is what this film makes me feel. You know what I mean? This is what this film makes me think about. But getting into specifics, let's talk about performances. Jeffrey Wright's great.
Absolutely.
He was a great choice. I mean, obviously, the Ellison last name is a reference to Ralph Ellison, but you know we love it. Sterling K. Brown is awesome. Had me questioning myself. That beautiful man. Tracy Ellis Ross is really good for the short time she was in. I did not.
Yeah.
Spoilers, I did not see her death coming. She's really charismatic. Everybody was very charismatic, and I wanted to be around all of them. And so I'm going to ask you, James, how do you feel about like the, I don't know, is there any other performances that stand out to you?
I'm trying to think. It's been a minute since I've seen this movie now. I think it's really funny and really kind of meta that they would cast Issa Rae in the role that she's in. I found her, I don't know, I found her, there's a sense of authenticity, I feel like, too, especially once you get to that like third act interview moment, or not interview, that kind of argument moment between her and Monk, where they're really like debating what it even means to make these types of work as black artists, and who you're making that work for and how that makes it valid. I was a little mixed on Sterling K. Brown, but I think I maybe just don't like him as an actor.
Okay, that's fair.
I think he's really good, or at least he's really charismatic, but there's a certain feeling, I don't know, it feels like he kind of goes like, yes, and now I'm acting, and now this is serious.
You can see the performance.
Yeah. Where it doesn't feel like he lets himself kind of sit in the roles that he's in, which I feel like is even double so for someone of such a character that he had, which is like, you know, this individual who's so jaded by the treatment of himself from his family, and how he sort of felt like this kind of black sheep character, and yet also still wanted to, I guess, live as good of a life as he can, while also realizing that like he's gonna have to really step in and do some part to like help with the family matters. It was a lot of gravitas, as they say, that I don't know if I fully felt it with him. But I mean, it was still fun to watch. It was still fun to watch him do coke in the family living room. That was fun. Yeah, I don't know. It felt like it didn't really stick that landing for me, but everyone else in there, like, of course, again, Jeffrey Wright, just absolutely incredible in this, with kind of highlighting the kind of anxiety that someone in his position would probably feel in this, while also not necessarily always being likable in a way.
Oh yeah, he's a dick.
Yeah, absolutely. And like kind of from the start. But you understand where he's at. You understand why he's acting the way he does, why he feels so much that he needs to protect these types of stories, and why because I feel like where he comes from a lot, maybe I'm just projecting, but I feel like where he comes from a lot is something that I've struggled with in my own practices, where I like consider myself a futurist, but also it's the idea of how can you look at towards the future without, I guess, sidelining the past, and I feel like that's something that he really brought a lot of attention to and really took care of, I guess, portraying that type of anxiety.
No, for sure. I think on your note on like Sterling K. Brown, I think that flaw is probably the biggest flaw, not specifically him, but just this like almost getting there and just like not, like they almost say a lot of things. And I heard someone else say this. I forget who, I'm sorry. My roommate brought up an article and I forgot who. But like, I think I've heard a lot of criticism of like, it almost goes there. Yeah. Like it opens the question and then just doesn't answer it. And I understand like art is supposed to ask questions it can't answer sometimes, but like you're blatantly asking the question. You're not like subtly asking it. So like you got to kind of give us something. And I understand life isn't like, satisfying and resolvable, but like you still got to give me something, because again, if you're going to ask all those questions, don't just like, whatever. Even the ending, while I thought it was good, I felt it was a little easy. Yeah, this is like it's like a happier Bamboozled, if everybody didn't die. No, literally. Like, I mean, they kind of almost do it. Like, they visually almost have it. And honestly, it reminded me of Malcolm X, the get your hands out my pockets moment. But when Jeffrey Wright has like the ending where he gets shot up by the police and Adam Brody loves it and all that. Which, low key, I feel like that would have been a very funny. It would have been really cynical, but a really funny place to end the movie. Yeah. And I think a version of them probably wanted them to do that, but I think they like thought, maybe rightfully so, that like that would kind of defeat the purpose of their thesis, but also I feel like it maybe like also emphasize the thesis. I liked the multiple endings thing. Yeah, it was interesting. I do like that this film at its core is the antithesis of black trauma films. Obviously the characters still go through things, but they go through things white characters will go through, debt, divorce, sexuality troubles, your parents getting older and having dementia. Like, those are real human struggles, and not that black people don't go through those, but it's just like, yeah, they do. And like, but then it's like, imagine that plus all like the hood shit, you know what I mean? Like, anyway, but and yeah, these are like, I mean, the other thing is like, these are obviously rich black people, and I feel like my other critique about some of this shit is like, to be the antithesis of the hood shit, they got to do the rich shit. And I'm like, why can't y'all just like film people like me and James? Right. You know what I mean? Like some just like middle class niggas on like GameCube. Exactly. I'll live in the Hamptons. And it's just like, I don't even like, but like, just show some dude that's like, and just like, they're just getting by, but like, they're not, I don't know. It's just like, black people are so much more. And like, it's like, and it's not, it doesn't come from a place of like hating the people that like are hood. I love them. I love y'all, bro. Keep doing what you're doing. Fuck everybody else. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's bad for them too, that like, this is their idea of them, because people are scared people still, scared of the hood. And the main thing I always say is like, the main thing about the hood is that it's a neighborhood. People live there. So I don't know. I just like, I am all for the humanization of black people. And I think we've gotten that a lot with stuff. I mean, even something like Into the Spider-Verse has really humanized like black boys, I think. For sure. But he's still, he's got, I mean, they're parents of service, but they're like, his parents, but they're able to afford an apartment in Brooklyn. Like, they're doing all right. Yeah. And bring his kid to that an elite school. Yeah. I mean, he technically got accepted into it through a raffle, and that's even like in the comics. Like it's one of those waiting for Superman schools.
That's right.
But that's anyway.
Not waiting for Superman.
I mean, it's like you remember that documentary?
Yeah.
But what else do I want to go into? Honestly, weirdly, I liked the cinematography, even though it wasn't that special. It was nice. It
was pretty.
It felt like a movie. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It felt, and I feel like I haven't seen The Holdovers, but I feel like The Holdovers is like this too. And I'm glad that these like straightforward dramatic comedies are being made. Like, I thought those were dead, and they're getting released in the theater, and they're getting nominated.
We're back.
Like, we're back, and I'm like, thank God. Like a non-Marvel movie is like doing okay in the theater, and like getting some. I guarantee you it hasn't made that much crazy money, but like, I don't know. People want new stories again, and that's making me happy. And if this film is ultimately a good overall. I keep jumping back and forth with like bad things, good things, but it is one of those things, and it's imperfect. It's an imperfect piece of art. So is Bamboozled. Bamboozled is not perfect at parts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had a really good time. I still want to we only did 25 minutes. I want to keep us going.
How did you feel about the whole did you said you read the book?
I did not. I just know about the book.
Okay. Because I know I haven't read it either, but I read like a quick thing comparing the two, and I know that Issa Rae's character in particular has such a like boosting, and it has more attention to her, whereas the book I guess didn't really seem to like her at all. How did you feel about her having that whole, I guess, seat at the table moment where the both of them are doing this book critique thing, and the both of them are in this position to, I guess, uplift like actual stories, while at the same time both of them seem to hate this my pathology thing. How did you feel about that whole arc?
So the jokes themselves, I saw them coming a mile away. Obviously they were funny, but like those are Jordan Peele jokes that we've heard already 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing for me is like, I hated Issa Rae at first, right? Not hated, but like I don't like her character. She's like, bro, you're just getting rich off this bullshit. Mm-hmm. And I still she's still flawed, but she is a full person, and you realize she's just kind of doing what she can because nobody's literally listening to them. They're like, guys, this book sucks. The black authors do not like it. And the white people are just like, but the black people community needs to hear this. Mm-hmm. And it's just so straightforward. And I'm sure these are conversations that have been had. I mean, especially in fucking Hollywood. Good Lord. I've heard stories where people are like, yeah, no one's going to want to watch a movie directed by a black woman. Like, they just told that to a woman's face. In the 90s, mind you. So, I mean, here's the thing. I like that they humanized her a little more. And I also do like that she almost didn't cave. I'm mixed about it. Where, like, I'm glad they didn't resolve, but I also wanted them to resolve somehow.
Yeah.
And that sounds dumb because, like, what do you want? What do you want then?
Sure.
But it's more like, again, they've asked a very blatant question. They didn't just kind of like wink, wink questions at you. They asked very, very blatant questions. Should I be telling this story? What are we going to do about this? And they don't answer them in any sort of way. And again, they don't have to, but in this sort of movie that's very, let's be honest, like, it's not very hard to like dissect. Give us the answer.
Yeah, especially because it felt like up until that moment, it felt like it was taking such a very hard stance on this entire conversation, and then it kind of fizzles a little bit, which, I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to keep on any particular opinion on it, but it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I just wish there was maybe like another minute of that.
No, literally. Yeah, and like they are again, like they started getting into like intense stuff. Like Issa Rae brings up like, it seems like your only problem is with black women,
Right?
And like I think that read as like, not that she's right, it's her weaponizing another form of identity
Right.
to protect her from scrutiny. And you really could have said something there, but I don't think they were ready for that. And again, this guy just won Cord Jefferson. You just won an Oscar. Like, we're not telling you how to do your job. Also, you're not listening to this, but but yeah, that's just like how I felt. I'll say some other really, really good things that made me feel really good. Lorraine's character, anytime she's
Yes.
around, loved her.
Yes.
And I almost thought that he was going to turn around and write a story about her. And I thought that was coming. It's okay that it wasn't, but I almost was like, this woman who has to help this other black family, like, that's an interesting story, right?
Yeah.
And I wonder, I don't know what Cord Jefferson's background is. I wonder if he had a house lady and like it just kind of went over his head that like, no, this is actually a really interesting story that you're not even seeing. But I don't want to project that. I don't know that boy's life.
Sure. Sure.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, even the character, Jeffrey Wright's character almost looks like Cord Jefferson a little bit. But anyway, I loved Lorraine's story arc. I loved how much the family loved her. I loved that like Jeffrey Wright walked her down the aisle. I do like how much this family, like, they have problems, but they do all really love each other.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's just like how a family is imperfect, and they're just like, but you just ride for them because that's your family. What else? I mean, there's obviously like not overly, but just like the feel good stuff where it's like, Lorraine accepts Sterling K. Brown's character because she don't care about any of that gay shit. Which it was so like, damn, this is like a Hallmark Channel thing happening right now. But again, it's like one of those things where like, I want us to have happy black media.
Yeah.
And obviously this is an antithesis to that. So I don't know. I'm like weirdly conflicted. I think we both agree. Like, we both wanted to hate this movie. But I think here's the thing. Here's the real reason I wanted to hate this movie, right? It's not even just that like Bamboozled didn't do well. Is that like white people love American fiction right now?
Yes.
That's the problem.
When I was in the audience, I saw that movie with my parents. I wanted to make sure I looked at everybody in the audience. And it was for sure a lot more white people, as expected. Some of them were laughing a little too loud at some of those jokes. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's such a hard thing because that's also how I view like the Tyler Perry media or anything that's explicitly dealing with like conversations that black people are having about black people and black media, where I'm like, I hear you. Who's the audience that's eating this up? Because let me tell you, white people love some Medea. And
that's true, but black people also be eaten up. Black church folk love Tyler Perry, so it's like, it's an interesting thing. Like, conservative black people love Tyler Perry, which is its own conversation that I'm not ready to have.
Yeah, we don't have time to go to unpack that.
That's a whole class, to be honest. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like when white people liked a black thing too much, my spider sense tingles.
Right.
And like Get Out, like people liked it, but it made white people uncomfortable, and they liked it. They liked how uncomfortable it made them. Yeah, and like it just like, yeah, this seems like, again, it does two different things than Bamboozled, but if you really want to be like a gut punch, if you really want to feel like, oh, like black artists really have to do this minstrel shit, like it is not fair, watch Bamboozled, especially if you're white. If you're a white person that is, I'm like caping for white people right now. If you're a white person who like wants to be like into like black media and stuff, watch Bamboozled yesterday. And It's not going to be fun. You're going to be like, oh. But it is like one of Spike's most thought-provoking films, and I'm going to try to stop talking about Bamboozled, but like, God, like, you just can't avoid it. You can't. Even if it's full differences, it's like unavoidable. And again, I mean, or when was Erasure written? Like, let me just do a quick Google. So it was, it came out after fucking Bamboozled. What do you know?
So yeah.
I mean, granted, Bamboozled came out like 2000?
Right.
And this came out in 2001, so there could have been like a happy coincidence. That happens a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, it came out in 2000. So it might have been a happy coincidence. I think I don't want to put that on the author. Let me just shout him out real quick. Not that he needs me. His fucking book just won some shit. Percival Everett. Why niggas always got them names? These authors got these like Thelonious, it's like Denarius, fucking Brooks or something.
Well, like Thelonious, that was the musician, Thelonious Monk, right? Yeah.
Right. No. Yeah. For sure. It's just funny that like they always. I'm just saying like black authors be having these like. Somebody said like these like these contractor companies be sounding like upstanding black men. Like I forget which one. It was like It was like insurance companies. They were saying like sound like upstanding black like civil rights leaders. As soon as you hear one, you'll be like, damn, that does sound like an upstanding black man. I'm so mad I can't think of it right now. It'll be like fucking like, I don't know, like they'll just have names like Armand Jones. You know what I mean, or something?
For sure.
I don't know. What anything else that like you like feel like was a real positive for you? Like I want people to understand that like I'm having all these critical thoughts, but like ultimately like it was a great time. I like had a good time watching it, and I would watch it again.
Yeah. If anything, it did spark a really interesting conversation about black media with my parents, who are also very much like Tyler Perry apologists. We get into, they make fun of me because I'm a huge Tyler Perry hater, and they're always talking about that. Especially since like, he's done so much for keeping it an all black production. Whatever. I'm not going to get into Tyler Perry. But
all black production meaning Tyler Perry is the entire crew.
Yeah. Yeah. But it seemed like it helped continue this ongoing conversation that it feels like so many people are kind of just screaming into the void, but also it brings more. Again, even despite the director's personal biases, it felt like it sort of gave a bit more nuance to the conversation in terms of like, again, yes, we don't necessarily need more seasons of Power or anything else like that, but at the same time, Power was a bad example. But like stories that take place in the hood, in all these other things, they're still. Black trauma is still trauma that's still ongoing, and like these stories do matter. But again, the issue is, are we also, not we as in other black people, but we as in just the community as a whole, are we also bringing more attention to the stories that aren't that and giving the funding? Because like, more stories like these exist. Stories about just black people living their lives. Afrofuturist stories, all these things exist. I keep seeing Instagram ads for this like Afrofuturist film that seemed like it was independently funded, and it has its own like soundtrack and everything. I think it's called Underneath. I'll send it to you. Is it the
queer one?
No, it's like a science fiction thing. Like got two black dudes with lightsabers, but it's got like a whole other thing. It's crazy. It's got a whole fight choreography and like real production and things. So like these stories exist, but it's all about giving these people money, giving us money. Give us money.
Give us money, and also here's big thing with funding. Like, the biggest thing for me with like the Issa Rae character, with like their thing, is that I think they aren't saying is like, you're making millions of dollars off the struggle of other black people.
Yes.
A struggle that you do not have.
Yes.
And if you're going to tell those stories, put that goddamn money into the community.
Yes.
Like, if you're going to tell if you're interviewing people, their black trauma stories, you better give them some royalties on that goddamn book. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, we see so many stories of the hood. Oh my God, it's so bad. And then like nothing's changed.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody wants to fucking do anything. Why are we like? And I was talking to somebody recently. I'm not gonna out them or anything, but like somebody wants to put this like art museum in the Parkway, and it's just like, that's cool. Philadelphians don't have clean water still in some parts. They're about to put kids in like summer school, only the black kids, mind you, because they're not doing that to the white schools. They have to go to like their vacations and stuff that they paid for. But all the black kids, to basically police them, they're going to prison them in a fucking school all day during the summer. And that's a black mayor who decided that. Don't
get me heated on Sherelle Parker right now. We could be here for
bro.
a whole
Sherelle
hour.
Parker. This is a Sherelle Parker. This is an anti-Sherelle Parker podcast, at least on David's end. Sonny, you can take that out if you want. Sherelle Parker, I did not vote for you. Just so you know. I know. I always at somebody that's not listening. I was shitting on Michael Rappaport last week. He's not listening to this shit. But Michael Rappaport, again, if I see you, it's on site.
It's on site.
It's not on site for the mayor because I will get shot. But Cheryl, I don't like you. What are you doing? Diverse oppressors are not it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean that's my biggest thing is like. That's my other big thing is like we don't see any of those people they're talking about, the hood black people, and obviously they're not around those people. But like, I don't know that much. Now that I'm thinking about it, it almost is a weird flaw. Like, I don't know. Sometimes it almost reads as like, it's like there's two types of black people. It's just rich black guy, poor black guy, and there's never in between in media. Atlanta gets close, I think. Atlanta gets close and like does a almost good job at like doing like middle class black trauma stuff. I think they do an okay job at that.
Sure.
But. It is what it is. Real feel-good movie. We need more feel-good movies, especially if they're black. So, again, ultimate good. And I think, honestly, like, the fact that I have so much to say about this means that it is very substantive, right? Like, it has a lot in it. So, yeah, white people, just please watch Bamboozled. Do yourself a favor, please. God. It's going to be scary. And I think, but here's what I'll say. My dad, who's black, who likes movies, he probably couldn't, he loves Malcolm X, but he probably wouldn't be down for Bamboozled.
Sure.
But he could probably get and understand American fiction, not because he's dumb. It's just like, reading cinema text is just like part of, watching a bunch of certain types of movies. And it's not like you're smart or dumb for not understanding that. Anyway, how much time we got? We've done like 40 minutes. That's a long time, right?
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts? Any recommendations for some films? If you like, besides Bamboozled or something, if you're like in the mindset of American fiction, in the thesis of American fiction, not even like in plot, just like what American fiction is trying to say. What do you think is out there that fills that void, or fills that void for you even?
Well, I will say I want to shout out for the Philly and New York people. I want to shout out the club Be Real Black Cinema.
Okay.
Steph, the person that runs it, she also has a lot of thoughts on this movie, and she does like monthly screenings with the Philly Film Society and with Cinema Speak and all these other places that highlight black cinema of all kinds.
What was Steph the producer? Is that the producer Steph that helped Xenia on Black Star?
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
I'll cut that just in case I don't know if that's the case, but I
know
wanted
they
to
know each other. I wouldn't be surprised.
Does she have glasses and like short
She does
curly
have-
hair?
Yes.
That I think we're thinking of the same person. Yeah, she was the producer, the main producer on Eureka.
That rules. Wow. Even more. Yeah, she's amazing. Like she did a Q&A with Saul Williams when his film came out last year at Neptune Frost.
That's
which,
awesome.
yeah.
Saul Williams is on that shit right now.
Oh yeah, man. I like rambled in front of him when that happened, and I still feel embarrassed about it because he clearly was like ready to leave, but it's fine. It's all good. I love you, Saul. Yeah. So B-Roll
Cool.
Black Cinema for sure. Follow them. Check in on their screenings. Follow their newsletter. Yeah.
What's their like? Is they have a specific @ on Instagram or?
I think. I mean, if you look up B-Roll Black Cinema, it should pop up for you. Let me double check that real quick. Or like BRCC is their thing. Let's type that in. Doesn't show up, but yeah, they're called B-Real Black Cinema. Real spelled like a movie reel. BREL.
Well, I'd say if you want to find out about some films and stuff that isn't fully about black trauma, there's this podcast called the Fade to Black podcast where we talk about black films made by black people, and we got vampire films, we got experimental docs, we got superhero films. There's so much, and like at first my dumb ass when we first did this, I was like, are we gonna run out of black movies? And it's like, no, we're not. There's so fucking many. And it like pisses me off. Like there's so many gems, like Dry Long So, which we talked about recently. The episode will come out soon. And stuff like that. Like there's so much cool black cinema that was just like under a basement, and it's being like given a second life, and I am so happy for it, and I want it. I want a physical copy of like every black American mainstream film. So yeah, and you know, listen, and also real talk, get yourself hip on all cinema. Listen, if you want to be a cinema head, kids, if you want to be a cinema head and you want to be taken seriously, you gotta watch some Korean cinema. You gotta watch some Iranian cinema. You gotta watch French cinema. You gotta watch Brazilians. You gotta expand, because if your only idea of movies is American films from the 90s and 80s, then you're gonna be brain rotted into thinking that films that talk about anything are woke now, and that films have never been woke. And there definitely wasn't a film called Murder in Harlem about a black man accused of murder he didn't commit in 1935. So woke films have always been fucking made, you fucking dumb idiot. Anyway,
Nah, speak on it.
I'm sorry, I said that last episode, but I cannot emphasize enough. Like,
Yeah.
y'all, you're literally being bamboozled into thinking that this stuff is new. This stuff has been since cinema. Like Charlie Chaplin making anti-Hitler films and shit. Like, come on, y'all. Let's be smarter. Let's do our actual history. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say about that, about everything involving the conversation of American fiction. I think I'm rambling now, and I feel like, you know, I might have like tighter thoughts a couple months from now, or at another viewing. Sorry, I'm just rustling with the mic. At another viewing, I feel like I might have even more succinct thoughts, but that's just like the stream of consciousness that came after watching this film. We don't really do a lot of ratings, but I'll rate this one. I did not hate it when I thought I was going to, and it was good.
That's pretty high praise.
That's a good one. James, thanks for pulling up to this again. You're obviously a smart guy, and I like your opinion on things. And I want people to see your photography, because, again, speaking of diverse black work, like, you know, you and I make completely different types of things, and that's just a testament of like how diverse this shit is. Like, you know what I mean? Like we could both agree that we like similar things because we're Americans and we're black American males that probably have watched, you know, anime or some shit. But, you know, you make more experimental photography that I love. Please, what was your ad again?
JC Izlar, JCIZLAR.
You got a website?
It's just my name, James Izlar. I'm reworking it because well, I don't have to go into that, but yeah, it's in the
You're good,
process
you're
of
good.
being remade. But it's out there.
Word. Yeah, I mean, just like, and especially being in Philly with so many diverse black artists, like, I mean, yeah, there are some artists that are just like, you know, making the same shit, but like, you know, good for them.
Absolutely.
And I just like want to emphasize, it's just like, I know so many people that are making such cool things that nobody has seen and is so like elevating to black art. I'd say your art is like that. I'm not just trying to hype you up just because you're here. Like, I think like it's important that like we emphasize that like you're not making shit about the hood. You're just making shit that comes from your stream of consciousness, and that is as black as the other stuff.
Exactly.
So anyway, thank you all for listening. That was James Izlar. I am David Dunnington, Dunnington. That's a bit I've been doing on this. It's not that funny. Stay black and beautiful, or whatever you are. Don't hurt anybody. Take care of yourself. Free Palestine. Yeah, love y'all.